Just briefly, and I didn't want to be holding up the witnesses if they were outside, but this is, which I circulated to the members, is a legal opinion from the legal team for Ibrahim Halawa and their barrister over in Dowdy Street Chambers, which basically says that Egyptian law 140 could be applied in the case of Ibrahim Halawa in the same way as it was applied in the case of the Australian citizen Peter Greste. I mean, there's a number of criticisms and points made in relation to the government. I'm not going to go into that. This is not a political issue, but what I think is important is that that they would come before the committee and we hear what they have to say and what we can do and what they believe can be done, as was done by the Australian government and the Australian Prime Minister.
Okay, listen, can I just say to you there that, you know, the government have already formally supported Ibrahim Halawa's release under the Law 140, that's the presidential decree, and that was done last February. The government have also formally supported the application for Ibrahim Halawa's release on bail. But I'll go ahead with a meeting, if you have no problem, if you want, I'll go ahead with a meeting to meet the legal team informally as soon as it can be arranged.
This would be a formal meeting.
I won't be having an informal meeting in that.
Then I'll put it to a vote, Chairman.
Okay. Does anybody want to comment, Senator?
This group have already been in Ireland. They've already spoken to many parliamentarians, and I don't see there's any need for duplication. If anybody wants to speak with this group based in London, they're more than happy to come over and talk to anybody. So why would you be duplicating the time of this committee? We've more urgent issues to be dealing with.
Irish citizen on facing trial, which
the Irish government is doing all it can.
Could I just say there, in relation?
And can I just say, in relation to 140, we've been told, and I take what the chairman says in saying that they support an application in relation to 140, but at the same time, the government have also said, and it's been said inside this chamber, that Law 140 doesn't apply. So, you know, I don't understand how on one hand the government can turn around and say that we support an application for Egyptian law 140 in the presidential decree that would allow Ibrahim to be released if it was applied in his case, and at the same time say that it doesn't apply, which is why I think we need clarity. And I have, like, we've all met informally, and that's fine, but that's why we have formal public sessions. People can put the questions to the legal team, and I don't want it held inside in a room where all we get is the same. We've had meetings with the Department of Foreign Affairs and the legal teams, and we've had it all. But what we actually have is conflicting views.
While I'm chair here, this committee will not be a courtroom, let me tell you fair and straight. But as the Department outlined to KRW already, following the receipt of their opinion, it is not the position of the government that the wording of Law 140 means that it can be applied in Ibrahim Halawa's case until the trial proceedings have concluded. Rather, the government understands, based on the extensive representations of Ibrahim Halawa's case at the highest level, that the Egyptian authorities are unlikely to consider the application of this law under Ibrahim Halawa's case until the trial proceedings have concluded. So we have supported this. I have agreed to have an informal meeting with this law firm. I have no problem doing it because you know, we've taken a keen interest in this case. The Taoiseach has taken a keen interest. He has met President Sisi not just once. Let's be clear on this. He's met him at a COP meeting in Paris last week again and raised the issue with him. Minister Fitzgerald met Foreign Minister Sukri. Minister Flanagan has met Foreign Minister Sukri as well. So there has been extensive representations in relation this case, and we have, you know, the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade have made 48 visits to Ibrahim Halawa. Now, we're all very interested in Ibrahim Halawa's case. I am, and he's a young man. He's going to be 20 years this month, next week afterwards, and he has spent the last over 2 years in prison. But we believe, Senator Daly, that his best interests lie in the law taking its course. We're very careful, and the Department are very careful on this. And I think we all should be very careful as politicians and as parliamentarians that we're not seen as trying to intervene in the legal affairs of this country. I think we need to be very careful on that, Senator Daly, and I urge you to act with caution in relation to this. I will meet this and the committee. I propose that we can meet this legal team informally. But I certainly don't want negative publicity on Ibrahim Halawa's future, playing with Ibrahim Halawa's future, coming out of this committee in the wrong way, because that's you know, let's call a spade in this. I've agreed to meet as chairman, with your permission, to meet with the legal team informally. No, sorry, no, I'm talking, please, Senator Daly, and I think you should accede to that. That's all I'm saying to you. We're not putting it off. We'll meet them and we'll listen to them.
Okay.
And, we had them in before. They were invited in before, when Christopher Ward was in. Unfortunately, they couldn't come at the time because they got caught in traffic or something like that.
An informal meeting.
Yeah, that was outside their control. But we will meet them informally. There's no problem. I don't know why you're putting this to a vote. I think you're making the wrong decision in relation to this, and I would urge you to change. Okay?
Let me be very clear on the reason I'm doing this. There is serious criticism of the Irish government held within inside this document and what the government are not doing, right? And the fact that we are talking about an informal meeting, right, and that there seems to be no problem with an informal meeting, but there is a problem with a formal meeting, means that I am concerned that the government, the Department of Foreign Affairs, would be upset with what this legal team would have to say about their performance. And that, just bear this in mind. Why is it we are happy to have an informal meeting but not happy to have a formal meeting? Is it because the criticism, which I've outlined to colleagues, where they say we urge the Irish government under Enda Kenny to take the same approach as the Australians in seeking the release and return of Mr. Halawa? And that strategy that the Australians employed was they used Law 140 to get his release while he was awaiting trial.
No, his trial had concluded.
Chairman, I urge you to read this document.
We have followed. Can I just say to you, Senator Daly, there's a lot of misinformation out here on this case.
Pardon?
We have gone along with
I don't understand.
With the
can I just
same
ask,
procedures as
Chairman,
other countries have done.
We're agreeing to have an informal meeting
when I was out in Cairo
without the camera, without the publicity, without the clear light of day, and the questions can be put by any member of the committee in relation to this document, which is basically saying
Senator,
that the Australian government employed different tactics than what we're doing, and they succeeded and we're failing. Can I just say that I sent the legal opinion around. I know people may not have had an opportunity to read it, but there's been a number of discrepancies in what we've been told in the committee in relation to, and this has nothing to do with the case that's actually happening in Egypt. It's nothing to do with the court case. We're not asking for the government to do anything in relation to that. What we're asking is what happened in relation to Law 140. And I sent around 6 key points, and this was written by the legal team. To date, the Irish government have maintained Law 140 cannot be applied to Mr. Halawa until Egypt's criminal proceedings have concluded against him. That has been said repeatedly here in this committee. It has been emailed to us time and time again. That is quite clearly not the case. Minister Flanagan has incorrectly, and I'm quoting from the legal opinion, has incorrectly said Peter Greste wasn't strictly speaking in the course of a trial proceedings when he was returned. Again, that wasn't correct. Law 140 clearly allows for the transfer to Ireland of Mr. Halawa prior to the final judgment being given in his case. The Australian Foreign Minister, Bishop, noted on his retrial, Greste is now back in the position of an accused person awaiting trial. Again, we were told that Ibrahim Halawa could not be dealt with until after a trial, and that wasn't the case in relation to Peter Greste. And yet we were told different information here in this committee by our Department of Foreign Affairs that we had to wait until after a trial. And this is from Ibrahim's legal team. It is clear that the Irish government can still do more in order to secure Mr. Halawa's release. I think it would be great if we could hear what that is in public, and we urge the Irish government under Taoiseach Enda Kenny to take the same approach in seeking the release and return of Mr. Halawa. And to save everyone the bother of having to read the entire document, while we note that the Irish government discussions with the foreign prosecutor for Egypt it is clear that the Irish government can still do more in relation to securing Halawa's release. We note that Peter Greste was released only after repeated public requests made by the Australian Prime Minister to President Assisi and by the Australian Foreign Minister to her counterpart in Cairo, and sustained efforts by the Australian Ambassador. We urge the Irish government, and that was to do with Law 140, which is a presidential decree, nothing to do with the court case, and it secured his release prior to a trial.
We supported that Law 140 last February.
No, he said...
Well, we have.
Sorry.
Oh, we have.
Sorry.
No. We have. And also, the Taoiseach, you talk about what we can do at the highest
we were
level.
told...
Sorry, no, you're sorry. I'm sorry. I'm the chair here.
What we were told was Law 140 couldn't apply because he was awaiting a retrial.
No,
but sorry.
We supported it.
Yeah, but why at the
CC.
same time are they also saying that they can't do anything until after a retrial?
Because we can't interfere in the legal system of a country.
We're not interfering in the legal trial. We were
this.
told time and time again that we had to wait for a trial.
Chairman,
and yet the Australians... Sorry, my point here is quite clear. The Australians were able to get Law 140 applied prior,
supported it. We've supported it.
And failed. The Australians succeeded.
No, they did after the trial.
No, and that's
trial.
now we've come to the nub of the issue. It is quite clear, and this I'll repeat it.
Yeah,
the Australian Foreign Minister said on his retrial, Greste is now back in the position
about the first trial.
of an accused person awaiting trial, which is the exact same legal position as Ibrahim Halawa is today. I'm pressing the motion.
I asked you, was the motion agreed?
Agreed.
No. Okay. Okay. So therefore, that
in favour.
No, we have to vote in time.
Say this first.
Okay. Those in favour of the motion.
Those against.
Those against.
Neil.
Okay. The question is last, so we'll call a vote. The result of the vote is Thaw 4, Neil 7, so I think the question is lost and the motion is defeated.